Hi everyone, good afternoon. I hope everybody is doing good. Welcome back to today's episode. Today you're going to discuss environment with me. Now, I have shared the unannotated PDF on the Telegram group. Please go have a look at it. Those who want the PDF. All right. All right. Chalo. Now let us move to the first MCQ for the day. Oh, before we forget, 1 second, I have to open it in Notability, right? I know just a couple of days remaining, so please don't lose heart and hope. You all are doing very good. Have faith on yourself. Don't listen to, don't listen to any negative comments from anywhere. Just stay focused, and I'm sure you're good to go with. Okay? So we finished all these classes, guys. Today we are on environment. Just a couple of classes more left, so we'll take up environment today and see how you all do. Okay, so basically I'll be giving you the questions, I'll be giving you the answer. I'll be giving you the questions, answer, and discussing a couple of more important points with it. Okay? Alright, so let us go to the first question. Under water supply program, which of the following statement is false? Can you write this? Now these MCQs are only going to cover a lot of questions for you, different questions. Okay, just is one question mein there are already two MCQs. So try it everybody. See, RR, guys, don't get confused. RR is like the main notes have been put out into concise notes. Okay, RR has everything. Now, if you talk about LRRs, they are meant for your last minute revision shot. So, if you've done RRs, nothing like it. Okay, because if you've done RR, you should be revising that and attending these Sure Shot sessions to keep you on track and help you score. If you didn't get the time to squeeze in RR or the main notes or whatever, at least do the LRRs along with the Sure Shot. Am I clear? Now what is the answer to this? At least one hand pump for 250 population. Yes. Now this is one additional MCQ I'm giving you, that we must have at least one hand pump for 250 populations. Okay? Next, at least 40 liters per capita water supply per day in rural areas. That's correct. It is 40 to 60 liters per capita per day. At least 140 liter in urban areas water supply hona chahiye. Yes, 140 से 200 liters per capita per day water supply urban area mein hona chahiye. Now, is it a problem village if there is no safe water within 1 kilometer? No, it has to be within 1.6 kilometers. Or if you live in hilly areas, all right, if you live in hilly areas, then there is no safe water within 100-meter distance. All right, within 100-meter distance. That is one more criteria for problem habitation. And if we start digging the ground, water not found up to a depth of 15 meters. Water not found or water not found up to 15 meters. All these guys, all these are criteria for problem village. All right, all these are criteria for problem village. Also, the water has more of sodium, more of potassium. All those also pose problem village features. Clear? Chalo. So question tha, which of the following statement is false? So option D is false, and I have also given you a couple of more MCQs from this. Now let's see, can you calculate this, guys? It's not very difficult. Let's see if you can calculate this answer. What is the amount of bleaching powder required to disinfect 455 liters of water if 4th, 5th and 6th cup show distinct coloration in Horrocks apparatus? Wrong question nahi padna hai na. That's why I'm making you practice every day. Stay focused. Do 50 questions every day. 50 MCQs, 50 questions. Try to do it every day with a timer. It will keep you on track, guys. Now, the thing over here is Horrocks apparatus. What does it estimate? It estimates chlorine demand. Now, what do you mean by chlorine demand, guys? How much bleaching powder? Chlorine demand means how much bleaching powder is needed, how much bleaching powder is required to disinfect water. Okay, is required to disinfect water, treat water. कभी कभी ना एग्जाम में ऐसे भी आ जाएगा. What is that thing called where we are calculating or we want to know how much bleaching powder is required to disinfect water? That is chlorine demand. Now in Horrocks apparatus, you have to remember the equation: N into 2 grams of bleaching powder, N into 2 grams of bleaching powder will disinfect what? N into 2 grams of bleaching powder will disinfect 455 liters of water. ठीक है, 455 liters of water. And what is N? N is equal to the first cup which shows color change. N is the first cup which shows what? Which shows color change. So it is written over here 4th, 5th and 6th cup. That means what is N over here? N over here is equal to 4 because that's the first cup which is showing color change. So we know N into 2 grams can disinfect 455. So 4 into 2, that means 8 grams will show. 8 grams of bleaching powder is required to disinfect 455 liters of water. All you need to do is you have to figure out what is N over here. Clear? Got it everybody? And this equation is not going to change. N into 2 grams of bleaching powder will disinfect 455 liters of water. Color change blue mein hota hai. Remember that as well. Color change always goes into blue. The first cup which is going to show its color change, it will change into blue and automatically rest of the cups will follow. Okay, let's see if you can answer this. First I am discussing all the points on water. Okay? True statement on chlorination. What you can do best is, see, you need more and more of practice. So that's what I have been telling you. Take a timer, take an iPad, give yourself 50 questions, set a timer for 50 minutes. Solve those 50 questions, analyze in the next 10 minutes. That will help you in time management, give you the confidence. You will not go out of touch with any subject. Plus, तुम्हारे आँखों से इतने MCQs गुजरेंगे that it's going to, you're going to actually learn how to rule out options as well. Alright? Now see. True statement. OT test measures combined chlorine separately. No, this is wrong. OT test cannot measure combined chlorine separately. Cannot measure combined chlorine separately. Separately नहीं measure करता. Cannot measure combined chlorine separately. It can measure. Please remember, OT test can measure combined chlorine. Can measure combined chlorine but not separately. Can measure combined chlorine but not separately. कैसे measure करता है? It can measure combined chlorine but not separately. Total minus free. ठीक है? Chlorine acts best when pH is around 7. Yes. Chlorine can act. Remember one more thing. Chlorine can act between pH 6.5 to 8.5. But it acts best when pH is around 7. Now chlorine kills bacteria, virus and spores. Remember, chlorine cannot kill all viruses and all the spores. No. If you have to kill poliovirus, you will have to increase the dose of chlorine. Residual chlorine बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. ठीक है? Hypochlorite ions are mainly responsible for disinfecting property. No. It is which ions which are mostly responsible, guys? Hypochlorous acid, not hypochlorite. Clear? Is it clear everybody? ठीक है? Okay. Is it clear everybody? Did you get this question in your head, guys? Chalo. So now let us go to another question which will help you in finding out other answers as well. Chalo. Which of the following have residual germicidal effect when used for disinfection of water? What do you want to answer over here? What do you want to answer over here? Think carefully and mark. Which of the following have residual germicidal effect when used for disinfection of water? Please, can you keep your questions for the end so that I will take the doubts at the end? Okay, I might miss out your questions, guys. Now, some of you are writing A, some of you are writing B, some of you are writing C also. The only disinfecting agent, okay, which has a residual property is chlorine, guys. None of the other disinfecting agent has residual property. That is what makes chlorine so special, that water once treated, you do not need to retreat it again and again. All right, water once treated, and that is what we want. We don't want to keep on treating. Just say boiling is the best, okay, disinfecting. But once I boil water, again I have to reboil it within 4 to 6 hours. So water once treated, all right, water once treated need not be retreated again, need not be retreated. It remains disinfected, okay, and that property is only for chlorine. All of these can act as disinfecting agent, but residual properties सिर्फ chlorine का होता है. Clear? Okay, let's see if you can do this one. All of the following statements are true about breakpoint chlorination. What I'm doing is, with these MCQs, I'm trying to make you revise all the important questions, the important terms which could turn up in your exams. Okay, so यहाँ पे answer दो. What is breakpoint chlorination? ठीक है? What is breakpoint chlorination, guys? What is breakpoint chlorination? Breakpoint chlorination क्या होता है? First of all, breakpoint chlorination. So breakpoint chlorination is point at which chlorine demand is met. Point at which chlorine demand is met. Point at which chlorine demand met means we have calculated the amount of chlorine which is needed to treat water. Now, once we calculate the amount of chlorine needed to treat water, that is chlorine demand, what do we do? We add extra chlorine to water so that water remains disinfected. So, free chlorine, that extra amount of chlorine which is added is free chlorine or residual chlorine. So, it is released in water after breakpoint chlorination. True. अगर एग्जाम में लिखा होता free chlorine is released during breakpoint chlorination, wrong. Before breakpoint chlorination, wrong. It is only released after breakpoint chlorination. Once we have calculated कितना bleaching powder चाहिए पानी को disinfect करने के लिए, ठीक है? Chlorine demand is the amount needed to kill bacteria, oxidize organic matter and neutralize ammonia. Yes, this is a scientific definition that we need so much of chlorine. That is what is the amount of bleaching powder required to disinfect water. Now, contact period 1 hour, yes, experiment time. Now, the duration of contact should be 1 hour. 1 ppm free chlorine should be present in water after breakpoint has reached. No, it is 0.5 ppm, or you can also say 0.5 milligram per liter of free chlorine should be present in water, and the contact period everywhere, guys. Contact period is always 1 hour. ठीक है? The period of contact should be 1 hour. Am I clear? So 2-3 important points. Breakpoint chlorination is the point at which chlorine demand is met, and free chlorine is released into the water after chlorine demand has been estimated. In drinking water, it is 0.5. Post disaster, what is the free chlorine, guys? Post disaster, it could go from 0.7 to 0.9 milligram per liter for a contact period of 1 hour. You can go for 0.7. ठीक है? स्विमिंग पूल में कितना होता है? स्विमिंग पूल सैनिटेशन के लिए व्हाट इज द वैल्यू ऑफ फ्री क्लोरीन? 1 ppm फॉर 1 hour. ठीक है? To kill polio virus and cyclops, what is the amount of free chlorine? To kill polio and cyclops, to kill polio virus and cyclops, if we have to kill, that is 2 ppm or 2 milligram per liter for contact period of 1 hour. ठीक है? Anything can come in your exams. Please remember free or residual chlorine के values. चलो, this was a question, so we've already discussed. As quickly as possible, can you tell me the answer to this? Value of free residual chlorine in drinking water should be? Good. 0.5 milligram for a contact period of 1 hour. Baki we have already discussed. Moving to the next one. To find out the dose of bleaching powder required for disinfection of water, what should you use? If I have to find out the dose of bleaching powder which is needed to disinfect water, what is the thing that I should be using? See, what are you writing? Very good. Now see, I told you the amount of bleaching powder required to disinfect water is nothing else but chlorine demand. है ना? The other way of, instead of asking you directly, which equipment can estimate chlorine demand? मैं थोड़ा घुमा के पूछ लिया, dose of bleaching powder required to disinfect water, that is chlorine demand, Horrocks apparatus. Now the question doesn't end there. What is fluoroscope used for? In the comment section as quickly as possible. Fluoroscope क्या measure करता है? Anybody? Fluoroscope क्या measure करता है? What do you mean by fluoroscope? Fluoroscope. Don't get confused. What is fluoroscope used for? Very good. This is used to measure free or residual chlorine. Free or residual chlorine. Free or residual chlorine. What about chloronome, guys? Now please remember, chloronome is an equipment which releases chlorine gas. जब हमारे पास bigger water supplies होते हैं ना, we tend to use chlorine gas as a disinfecting agent. So it releases chlorine gas. And what is this Winchester quart bottle? Winchester quart bottle is used to collect water samples. Okay, it is used to collect water sample for testing. Water sample for testing. जैसे physical test करना है, bacteriological surveillance करना है, chemical test करना है, we collect the water in this Winchester quart bottle. Am I clear? So this was also a good question. Now you all know what is the name of this equipment. I'll just mention it. Although we have finished the image based class, this is fluoroscope, which measures free or residual chlorine. What about the other image that you can see? What is this one? This we have already discussed, guys, n number of times. 1 black cup and 6 white cups. So I'm not going to take too much of time over here. Just wanted to show you the image of Horrocks apparatus. Estimates chlorine demand in water. And what is the indicator that you use in Horrocks apparatus? The indicator that we use is starch iodide. Okay, starch iodide. Clear? Black cup में solution prepare होता है. In black cup we prepare the solution. Black cup में we prepare the solution. Okay, moving to the next one, guys. Active disinfecting. All this is a PYQ only. Okay, write as quick as possible. Active disinfecting property of bleaching powder is due to formation of. What is your answer over here? Active disinfecting property. Just 1 second, okay. Alright, yeah, I would suggest everybody to maintain decency and please spread positive notes in the class. Say good things about everybody, move forward together, alright, because this is a platform we are here to learn and try not to distract others. Alright, guys. Chalo, active disinfecting property of bleaching powder is due to the formation of very good hypochlorous acid. Active means 90% disinfection. Alright, but if the question asked 90% disinfection is due to hypochlorous acid, but if the question was only that disinfecting property of chlorine is due to, disinfecting property of chlorine is due to, if the question was disinfecting property of chlorine due to, in this you will write both hypochlorous acid plus OCl minus, which is hypochlorite ion. Okay, this is hypochlorite ion and this is your hypochlorous acid. So you should know both of these answers. Okay, take your time. Can you read this question and try to do it? It is, we are going to discuss over here all the points, you know, related to this one, all the points related to OT and OTA test. So what we can do is you tell me each of the points separately. Okay. Look at the first question. I have asked true बताना है मुझे. So आप मेरे को हर एक question बताओ, true या false. The first one, OT test can detect both free and combined chlorine separately, making it superior to the OTA test. Now is OT test better or OTA test better? Obviously OTA test is better than OT test, है ना? OTA test is better than OT test. So which is the wrong statement over here? Which one is this? Is absolutely false. क्या होना चाहिए था? OTA test can detect both free and combined chlorine separately. Next, breakpoint chlorination is achieved when chlorine demand of water is exceeded resulting in free or residual chlorine that keeps water disinfected? No, it's not exceeded. This is also false. Breakpoint chlorination is when chlorine demand of water is met. We just discussed. B true नहीं है प्रतीक्षा. बी में क्या लिखा हुआ है? ब्रेक पॉइंट क्लोरिनेशन इज अचीव्ड व्हेन क्लोरीन डिमांड ऑफ वाटर इज एक्सीडेड. नहीं, ब्रेक पॉइंट क्लोरिनेशन इज द पॉइंट व्हेन क्लोरीन डिमांड ऑफ वाटर इज met, not exceeded. जब हम कैलकुलेट कर लेते हैं. OTA test is unable to detect combined chlorine separately and is affected by interfering substances such as nitrites, iron and manganese. Again, this is false. OTA test can detect combined chlorine separately and it is not affected by any interfering substances. That means obviously what was the correct answer? Option D. The OT test can detect free chlorine separately but not combined chlorine. It can only detect free chlorine separately. Combined chlorine separately नहीं कर सकता. While OTA test can detect both free and combined chlorine separately and it is not affected by interfering substances. Now this question was very very important guys and the summary of this question you will see in this slide. जैसे अगर कोई आपसे पूछे OTA test better than OT test? True. Yellow color when we and OT and OTA are reagents. So when you add these reagents to water, yellow color बनता है. Yellow color change which you see within first 10 to 15 seconds is due to free chlorine. True. After that it is due to both free and combined chlorine. OTA test can detect both free and combined chlorine separately. True. OT test detects free chlorine separately. True. OT test can detect combined chlorine? True. अगर लिख देता can detect combined chlorine separately, that is false. But not separately. ठीक है? But not separately. Is it clear? It will detect as total minus free. This is a very important question guys. This is on the roll these days. They do ask about such questions. So please ensure कि आप इस चीज़ को अच्छे से पढ़ के जाओ एग्जाम में. चलो लेट्स गो टू द नेक्स्ट वन क्विकली. कलर प्रोड्यूस्ड इन OT टेस्ट, एमर क्या होता है? आफ्टर 5 minutes इज ड्यू टू एक्शन ऑफ. सी आई एम ट्राइंग टू गिव यू ऑल द पॉसिबल क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम क्लोरिनेशन गाइस. वेरी गुड. आफ्टर 5 minutes पूछा है. आफ्टर 5 minutes आई टोल्ड यू इट इज ड्यू टू फ्री एंड कंबाइंड क्लोरीन. फर्स्ट 15 seconds, okay, first 15 seconds is due to free chlorine. That is due to free chlorine. But after that it is due to both free as well as combined chlorine. Clear? Okay, let's go to the next one. Feature of slow filter with respect to slow sand कर लो इसको. slow filter नहीं, slow sand filter with respect to fast sand filter या rapid sand filter. Anybody? We'll just quickly have a look at slow sand filter and rapid sand filter. We discussed an image based session but just wanted to take up a couple of points क्योंकि बहुत दिन हो गए slow sand filter, rapid sand filter पे question नहीं आया. Can turn up in the exams. Occupies less space. Which one occupies less space? Slow sand or rapid sand? Rapid sand filter. ठीक है? Rapid sand filters स्लो कम स्पेस ऑक्यूपाई करता है. हाईली स्किल्ड ऑपरेशन स्लो सैंड को लिखता है? नहीं, हाईली स्किल्ड ऑपरेशन रैपिड सैंड फिल्टर को लगता है. पुअर बैक्टीरियल क्वालिटी, नो, 99.9% बैक्टीरिया फेंक देगा. ऑलराइट, सो पुअर, दिस इज अगेन अ फॉल्स स्टेटमेंट. टेक्स मोर टाइम फॉर प्योरिफिकेशन. Size of the sand filtered is smaller. Yes, it takes more time for purification. That's what its naam hi hai, slow sand, so it's taking more time. The rate of filtration is slow. Size of the sand filtered is even smaller than rapid sand filter. ठीक है? So over here what was the correct answer guys? D and E are true. So let me just quickly show you the image which I had shown you. How will you identify a slow sand filter and a rapid sand filter? So there is something which is present in slow sand filter which you don't have in a rapid sand filter. That is a biological layer, Schmutztek layer. Okay, Now over here, see, this is a rapid sand filter. Why you don't have that vital layer? यहाँ पे वो vital layer is missing. But if you see this one, all right, this one is a slow sand filter. Now what is happening in a slow sand filter, guys? You have this Schmatz-Tek layer. Schmatz-Tek layer क्या होता है? Biological layer, जो कि which is involved in the process. Rapid sand filter works under the effect of gravity and all those things. ठीक है? But slow sand filter has this biological, vital, or you could also call it as zooglial layer. All right, this is the Schmatz-Tek layer. Now over here you can go through the differences. I'll just zoom in. Area, rapid sand filter occupies small area, large area. Rate of filtration, of course, is fast in rapid sand filter. Sand size, this was once asked in INI set, I mean AIMS exam separately. The sand size filtered by rapid is 0.4 to 0.7 mm. Small sand, slow sand, even smaller size, 0.2 to 0.3. Pre-treatment are needed actually in both. ठीक है? Filter cleaning, backwashing, that is a technique which is done in rapid sand. This can come as a separate question also, backwashing. Scraping in slow sand filter. Operation more skilled in a rapid sand filter. Color removal दोनों में okay. Bacteria C 98.99, ठीक है? Here 98.9, here it is 99.9. Prior water storage, this is written reverse. In rapid sand filter, no storage needed. Okay, no storage needed. In slow sand filters, prior water storage is needed. Am I clear? So just a couple of difference between rapid and slow sand filter. Remember, these are for purification of large scale purification of water, not small scale. Large scale purification of water, small scale purification of water के लिए तो हम लोग क्लोरीन ही यूज कर लेते हैं. ठीक है? Okay, moving to the next question. All are water wash disease except slightly more. It's not too big a number that we have to worry too much about it. ठीक है प्रतीक्षा? All are water wash disease except D क्यों लिख रहे हो? टाइफॉइड वाटर वॉश थोड़ी ना है. टाइफॉइड इज बिकॉज ऑफ ड्रिंकिंग contaminated water. So this is a water borne disease. Water washed is something happened outside. Did you hear the noise? It was such a loud noise. Okay. Alright, typhoid is a water-borne disease. Water washed is when improper hygiene. Okay, inadequate hygiene, no hygiene. We don't use water to maintain hygiene. No hygiene. Yeah, something very loud. I can't say anything. But okay, yeah, transformer maybe. Chalo, anyways, let's continue. So you have water-borne diseases, you have water-washed diseases, so you should definitely revise those things also. Chalo, now moving to the next question for the day. Criteria for problem village include all except. Now just try to think and answer this one. What is the criteria for problem village, guys? When no water source is in a distance of 1.6 except पूछा है 1.6 kilometers from the community, water is more than depth of 15 meter, there is excess of sodium potassium. We have already discussed it, so सोच के आंसर करना. This was actually a PYQ of AIMS paper. Risk of guinea worm infection. Alright, what is the answer to this one, guys? सोचो guys, problem village होता है when there is no water source up to 1.6 kilometers in plain area, hilly areas up to 100 meters, excess of sodium potassium. If you start digging the ground, you will not find water up to a depth of 15 meters. So problem is when water is more than a depth of 15 meter. Risk of guinea worm infection, no, that is not a problem village because guinea worm infection has been eliminated from India. ठीक है, guinea worm infection has been eliminated from India. Clear? So that was a slightly tricky question. Please don't get lost. Don't wander here and there. If you find water at a depth of more than 15 meters, it is a problem village only. Alright, let's quickly answer this. All of the following about purification of water are true except. What do you want to tell me the answer to this? Okay, what is the answer to this? Bhavegar. Yeah. So what is the answer to this? All of the following about purification of water are true except Clostridium pores indicate remote contamination of water. Coliforms may be detected by multiple tube method and indole production. Sodium thiosulfate is added to neutralize certain contaminants. Coliforms must not be detected in any 1000 ml. ये गलत है. Coliforms must not be detected in any 100 ml. Please remember 0 coliforms per 100 ml of water. 0 coliforms per 100 ml water. This is known as potable water. This is known as potable water. Am I clear? Please remember this. This is very, very important. Clostridium spores, Clostridium perfringens, remote contamination. Coliforms may be detected by multiple tube method, presumptive coliform test, indole test. You can remember this one. What do we add? Sodium thiosulfate. Sodium hypochlorite mat likh dena. ठीक है? All right. Let's see this one. What is the answer to this? Multiple tube method is done to. Quickly put down your answers. Guys, what is your answers? Detect the presence of coliform organism in a sample of water. Detect the presence of fecal streptococci in a sample of water. Detect the presence of Clostridium perfringens in a sample of water. Do the colony count of bacteria. क्या आंसर है इसका? ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? Multiple tube method is done to actually what are we trying to detect from multiple tube method? Coliform organisms. ठीक है? Now see, most reliable evidence, just have a look over here, most reliable evidence of fecal contamination of water, most reliable evidence of fecal contamination of water is provided by E. coli, coliform organism. Now how do we detect this? There is a screening test to detect E. coli in water. The screening test का नाम है multiple tube method or presumptive coliform test. But we also have confirmatory test to detect E. coli. ठीक है? Confirmatory test. So what is the confirmatory test to detect E. coli? Remember for that the mnemonic I have taught you before also, EIC. E stands for IG command test. I stands for indole test. C stands for citrate utilization. These are all your confirmatory tests. Clear? So remember, E. coli, most reliable evidence of fecal contamination of water, 0 coliform per 100 ml of water. Now remote contamination of water or recent contamination of water के लिए क्या है? So what is there for remote contamination of water, guys? Remote contamination of water, if we have to find out about which organism, you will look for remote contamination of water, Clostridium perfringens. That tells us about the remote contamination. And if I want to find out recent contamination of water, so recent contamination of water is fecal streptococci. Recent contamination is fecal streptococci. These are very, very important terms which are very important for you to revise for your last minute preparation. ठीक है? Moving to the next one, easy peasy question, old PYQ. This is an old PYQ. So I'll just quickly discuss it. A new question that can come from hardness of water, I'll tell you. Temporary hardness of water is due to the presence of anybody? Chalo, what is the answer to this? Temporary hardness. Good. Calcium and magnesium salts are bicarbonates. It is bicarbonates. But calcium and magnesium salts of CNS, chlorides, nitrates and sulfates. These result in what, guys? These result in permanent hardness. Calcium and magnesium salts of chlorides, nitrates and sulfates is permanent hardness. We can remove by adding lime. There is a process, नाम बस याद कर लो, permuted process. Permuted process ये सब का होता है base exchange process which can remove hardness of water. Alright, adding lime, boiling, all of these things can remove hardness of water. One more PYQ, softening of water is recommended at what concentration? Softening of water. Softening of water recommended at, softening of water कब recommend किया जाता है? So softening of water is recommended when level of hardness of water is, when level of hardness of water is, when level of hardness is 150. ठीक है, 150 milligram per liter. ठीक है, that is very very important. And now hardness of water is shown to protect from, maybe they can give you this, hardness of water is shown to protect from, hardness of water can protect from, latest research has come, can protect from CVD, cardiovascular diseases. हार्डनेस जो अलाउड है पानी में इज 150 to 300, बट सॉफ्टनिंग वी शुड रिकमेंड एट 150. क्लियर? Okay, moving to the next one. False regarding WHO recommended drinking water quality. Okay, now we need to leave water and go to the air and other questions as well. False regarding WHO recommended drinking water quality. आंसर क्यों नहीं आया? Color up to 15 true color units or 5 Hazen units. This is correct. 15 true color unit or 5 Hazen unit. Yes, सही है. Potable water अभी सीख लिया हमने, 0 coliforms per 100 ml of water. That is also correct. Turbidity up to 5 NTU. That is also correct. Nitrate not less than 100. Okay, nitrate ideally should be less than 50 guys. Should be less than 50. बहुत बार exams में देखोगे 45, 50. So that's okay. ठीक है, नाइट्रेट पानी में होगा, इट इंडिकेट्स, इट मिक्सेस विद द ब्लड लीडिंग टू मेथ हीमोग्लोबिनीमिया. सो इट इज एन इंडिकेटर ऑफ रिमोट कॉन्टैमिनेशन ऑफ वाटर, रिमोट कॉन्टैमिनेशन ऑफ वाटर. एंड रीसेंट नाइट्राइट अगर पानी में है, नाइट्राइट इंडिकेट्स व्हाट? रीसेंट कॉन्टैमिनेशन ऑफ वाटर, रीसेंट कॉन्टैमिनेशन ऑफ वाटर. एंड इफ यू सी नाइट्राइट इन द वाटर गाइस, इफ यू सी नाइट्राइट इन द वाटर, all right, what is its level? It is up to 3, up to 3. 3 कम value है, so recent. Remote is more value, remote is like long standing contamination, so more value. ठीक है. Color ideally पानी colorless होता है, but we can measure color, so we measure it in terms of true color unit. Clear? Chlorides, what is the standard prescribed for chlorides guys in water? Standards prescribed for chlorides, the standards prescribed is 200 milligram per liter, but maximum permissible limit allowed. ठीक है, maximum permissible limit allowed, maximum permissible limit जो हम लोग allow कर देते हैं is 600. Similarly you should know about TDS. TDS total dissolved solid standard prescribed. ठीक है, standard prescribed is over here, standard prescribed is 600. ठीक है, but maximum permissible limit, max permissible limit, max permissible limit that you have guys is 1000. Clear? Max permissible limit is 1000. So please don't get confused. Most undesirable metal in water is lead. Most undesirable metal in water. So most undesirable metal पानी में कौन सा है? Lead. This is a very favorite question. Radiological activity. Alpha radiological activity is how much? Alpha activity in water, alpha activity in water, radiological activity में alpha activity कितना है? Total dissolved solid, संगीता total dissolved 0.5 becquerel per liter. And what about beta activity in water? So that is 1 becquerel per liter. Just these are become old questions, but one or the other day they can still ask you. This is radiological activity in drinking water. Radiological activity, how much is permitted? TDS होता है total dissolved solids. Okay, now we move to the other section, air, some questions about waste. So can you quickly answer this? All of the following are types of mechanical ventilation except, this is a PYQ, so I'm giving you this one. ये एग्जैक्ट क्वेश्चन है गाइस. एग्जॉस्ट, प्लीनम, एयर कंडीशनिंग, दे आर ऑल मैकेनिकल वेंटिलेशन. ठीक है. परफ्लेशन, एस्पिरेशन आर नॉट मैकेनिकल, दे आर लाइक नेचुरल. ऑलराइट, यू जस्ट हैव टू ओपन द डोर्स, ओपन द विंडोज, दैट्स व्हाट इज परफ्लेशन, एस्पिरेशन. ठीक है. द बैड एयर सक्ड आउट, द गुड एयर सक्ड इन. ठीक है. दैट इज व्हाट इज परफ्लेशन, एस्पिरेशन. All are indicators of air pollution except, what is your answer over here? All are indicators of air pollution. So we have soiling index. Soiling index is for air. Please don't write for soil. Soiling index means smoke. ठीक है. Suspended particle count, SO2 concentration. SO2 concentration is the best indicator of air pollution. Best indicator of air pollution. But if somebody asks you what is the most widely distributed indicator of air pollution, most widely distributed indicator, if somebody asks you most widely distributed indicator air pollution का क्या है, remember carbon monoxide. If somebody asks you by best biological indicator, best biological indicator guys, so best biological indicator is a growth, which is lichens. Over here it is McArdle's index. Clear? McArdle's index is what? Permissible sweat rate. It can measure permissible sweat rate. It can measure permissible sweat rate. And how much is the level that we allow? 4.5 liters per 4 hours. Okay, it can measure permissible sweat rate. Again, this was an old question only. We just wanted to discuss indicators of air pollution. Now, best method for monitoring air pollution, routine monitoring. Now, routine monitoring के लिए best indicator sulfur dioxide तो होता ही होता है. So, what is your answer over here? Alright, very good. Sulfur dioxide, smoke, particulate matter. I'm not going to go too much into this. Routine monitoring, sulfur dioxide, smoke, particulate matter. Good. Psychrometer is used to measure. Now, air equipments are still very commonly asked. So, psychrometer is used to measure kya? Air humidity, air velocity, room temperature, radiant heat. Psychrometer is air humidity. ठीक है. एयर वेलोसिटी, इफ यू हैव लो एयर वेलोसिटी, व्हाट इज द इक्विपमेंट दैट यू यूज? यू ऑब्वियसली यूज अ वेरी फेमस वन, काटा थर्मोमीटर. आई हैव डिस्कस्ड देम इन इमेज बेस्ड क्लास ऑल्सो. करेक्टेड इफेक्टिव टेम्परेचर और रेडियंट हीट, दिस इज बाय ग्लोब थर्मोमीटर. नाउ इमेज बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस डोंट गो आउट. दीज आर द इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स दैट you should know. Please refer to the image based session which was just conducted on 4th of July on Prep Ladder YouTube. It is very very important for all of you. Now air humidity के लिए you still have this hygrometer, you have this sling psychrometer. In the image based you will also see one more image of a sling psychrometer which is an equipment like this, yellow in color. ठीक है, ये भी sling psychrometer है. This one over here, dry and wet bulb hygrometer. Dry and wet bulb hygrometer. Okay, this measures air humidity and this is the most common one. This one over here is Assmann psychrometer. All of them measure air humidity. ठीक है. So we've done this n number of times. What about these equipments? लाल रंग का बल्ब, ठीक है, थिन एंड नैरो बल्ब. दिस इज काटा थर्मोमीटर. दिस इज काटा थर्मोमीटर. काटा थर्मोमीटर गाइज मेजर्स लो एयर वेलोसिटी. इट कैन ऑल्सो मेजर कूलिंग पावर ऑफ एयर. कूलिंग पावर ऑफ एयर. बट इफ यू हैव टू मार्क वन ऑप्शन, क्योंकि कूलिंग पावर में रिलायबल एस्टिमेट्स नहीं आता. नो रिलायबल एस्टिमेट्स. ठीक है, नो रिलायबल estimates. They don't give very reliable estimates. Dial thermometer will have markings in negative also, Sangeeta. ठीक है. But if you have to mark one for Kata thermometer, you will prefer low air velocity. This one already discussed. ये हो गया तुम्हारा globe thermometer, corrected effective temperature or radiant heat. And this one is anemo. This one is anemometer. Earlier, this anemometer was used to measure air velocity. Robinson cup anemometer. बहुत तरीके के anemometers होते हैं. Robinson cup, plate, बहुत तरीके के होते हैं. ठीक है, बट क्वेश्चंस आर स्टिल स्टिकिंग टू एयर ह्यूमिडिटी, काटा थर्मोमीटर. ओके. Okay. Another PYQ 2021 post Diwali air pollution index chart was created, air quality index on 4 different days. CPCB, AQI is given by CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board. So very poor, poor, severe, moderate. What is the answer to this? 407 is severe. Remember, कोई very severe category नहीं है. No very severe category in AQI. ठीक है? So look over here. If you see this one, the car is moving, everything is good, 0 to 100 ka range is good, good, satisfactory, moderate to poor, yellow, orange, we need to wait a little, okay, we should just get ready. Red may 301 to 400, 401 to 500, very poor and severe. We don't have anything beyond 500 and we don't have a very severe category. Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. Just look at this question and tell me the answer if you know. Just wanted you to know these terms because these terms are given in your textbook of Park. कभी भी ये question बन के आ सकता है, ठीक है? फिलहाल we're going to club it in severe only because we don't have any category beyond that. Okay. Now see guys, during winters particularly what happens, water vapors and pollutants tend to get trapped in the lowermost layer of the atmosphere in winters. What is the reason behind? Temperature inversion. Just know this term. Temperature is reversing, inversing. So all the water vapor, air pollutants, they get trapped in the lowermost layer. इसको बोलते हैं temperature inversion. Greenhouse effect, you all know, release of greenhouse gas resulting in rise of temperature of earth, global warming. Water vapor is a major greenhouse gas. Water vapor हो गया, carbon dioxide हो गया, methane, all these are our greenhouse gases. फिर एक Paris agreement था, remember this one, Paris agreement, all right, these were, and there was one Kyoto protocol. These are initiatives for climate change, to protect the climate. These are initiatives for climate change. Okay, they've never asked temperature inversion, kabhi bhi pooch sakta hai. It is given in your textbook of Park. All right, luminous flux is measured in. Now imagine that story which I've taught you in the videos, in the classes, you are going to study now. So what do? You light a candle. Now once you light a candle, कैंडल का क्या होता है? इंटेंसिटी, ल्यूमिनस इंटेंसिटी. सो ल्यूमिनस इंटेंसिटी इज मेजर्ड इन विच यूनिट? कैंडल. सो कैंडेला, measured in candela. Now what happens? The light starts to flow. Everybody who is writing B, please listen to the question once. I have not asked intensity, I have asked बच्चे flux. So the light starts to flow. ये है तुम्हारा flow. So what is flow guys? Flux. It looks like it's going through a proper tube. So what is the unit in which it is measured? Lumen. It falls down on the tabletop. जैसे मैं यहाँ बैठी हूँ, टेबल टॉप पे गिर रहा है. टेबल टॉप को क्या करता है? Illuminate. Illumination. Illumination. So LUM. Illumination का unit is lux. Alright, illumination unit is lux. Now some amount is going to get reflected and come to my eyes. This is Lambert. Brightness. This is Lambert. Alright, whatever reaches your eyes. So immediately, please don't mark answer candela. Candela was a NEET PG PYQ. Here I have asked you flux. Flux is flow, which is lumen. Am I clear? Got it? Everybody, did you understand this question? ठीक है? Now please remember one more thing. अगर एग्जाम में आता brightness of a light source, brightness of light source, what would you give the answer to this? Brightness of light source, power of light source. If you see the word light source, brightness or power of light source, this is candela. All right, brightness or power of light source is candela. But brightness from a surface when it gets emitted and comes to your eyes, that is Lambert. तो क्वेश्चन में कंफ्यूज नहीं होना. अगर लाइट सोर्स आ गया, देखो लुक एट दिस ओवर हियर. Okay, brightness means amount of light re-emitted by the surface. But if somebody asks you power of light source or they ask you brightness of light source, that is candela. Clear? These are just certain values you can go through. Casual reading 100 lakhs, office work 400 work. कभी किसी ने दे दिया तो. Okay, quickly guys, we're running a little short of time. We have 10 minutes. What is the answer to this? What is the maximum permissible level of occupational exposure to ionizing radiation per year to the whole body of an individual as set by the International Commission of Radiological Protection? So 5 rad per person per year. Thickness of lead apron, how much? Thickness of lead apron guys, thickness of lead apron कितना allowed है? Thickness of lead apron, quickly in the comment section what should be the thickness of lead apron guys? Good. 0.5 unit हमेशा बोलो mm, ठीक है? 0.5 mm. Alright, let's go to the next question. Upper limit of exposure of noise up to which there is no damage to hearing. What are you going to mark? Alright, what is the answer to this? What is it? Upper limit of exposure to noise up to which there is no damage to hearing. Very good, 85 decibel. Auditory fatigue occurs 90 decibel. Although all these things you'll revise from ENT, है ना? Auditory fatigue कब होता है? 90 decibel. Okay, threshold for pain. Threshold for pain. Threshold for pain 140 decibel. Permanent damage to hearing. Permanent damage to hearing. All right, permanent damage. Permanent damage 160 decibel. Or in fact, not I would say rupture of tympanic membrane. ठीक है, rupture of tympanic membrane 160 decibel. Rupture of tympanic membrane. And continuously, you know, if you get a hearing this thing of 100 decibel, it can lead to this thing. So rupture of tympanic membrane is 160 decibel. Permanent damage to hearing loss कब होता है? अगर constant हमें exposure होगा to 100 decibel. ठीक है, rupture of tympanic membrane 160, permanent damage कब हो जाएगा? 100 decibel. Okay, daylight factor in living room should be. These are PYQs guys, so we should be able to answer this one also. Okay, what is the answer to this one? What is the answer to this one? Daylight factor in living room should be how much? 8%. Kitchen, ये straight PYQ था, old PYQ. Kitchen में it should be how much? Kitchen में it should be 10%. Okay, moving to the next one. Yeah, coming to the last couple of things, 5-6 more minutes. Most satisfactory method refuse disposal का क्या है? Refuse disposal means solid waste disposal. So what is the most satisfactory method? Dumping, incineration, manure pits, control tipping. Please remember control tipping, or we could also call it as sanitary landfill. Now remember, dumping is most unsatisfactory. We can't go and dump the kachra outside our houses. Most unsatisfactory. Incineration is हाई टेम्परेचर ड्राई ऑक्सीडेशन. ठीक है, इंसिनरेशन क्या होता है? बर्न करना. दिस इज नॉट प्रेफर्ड फॉर सॉलिड वेस्ट. ओके, दिस इज नॉट प्रेफर्ड इन इंडिया for solid waste disposal. For solid waste disposal, why guys? Solid waste disposal के लिए we are not going to burn the waste in India. Why? Because incineration does not generate manure. Does not generate manure. See, what is the end product of solid waste disposal? कम से कम 6 महीने में it generates manure which can be used in farming. Incineration, if we burn it, it won't generate manure. So it is only preferred for biomedical waste in India. But remember, incineration तभी करेंगे when no land available. जब land ही नहीं बचेगा, we will have to incinerate. When no land available, we will prefer incineration. Otherwise, we don't prefer incineration. What about manure pits? Manure pits are preferred in rural areas. ठीक है, in rural areas. At the back of your houses in rural areas, villages में आप 2 गड्ढे खोद लो, almost 2 meters in depth. One will get filled in 6 months, the other will get filled in 6 months. If you go for camping, ठीक है, if you go for camping, what is it? Burial. If you go for camping, we have to bury the waste and come out. ठीक है, okay. All right, now what is this method? A lot of questions come from this. This is trench method. Trench method is the most satisfactory method from control tipping. Okay, trench method is the best. This is a way of control tipping. This is a way of control tipping. ये तुम्हारा best method है. It's the best method. Okay, but it is costly. So we don't use it so much. Now इसमें क्या होता है? It can be done when land available. When there is land available, what do? We dig a trench. And what was the question that came? It was that for every 10,000 population, a 2-meter deep trench is dug. A 2-meter deep trench is dug for which 1 acre land per year required. For which 1 acre land per year required. ठीक है, इसीलिए we don't, it is too costly and it consumes a lot of things. Okay, now another method, so this is your trench method. The another method that is mostly practiced is area method. Please remember, in disused lands, area method is mostly practiced. All right, what do we do over here? Disused lands या quarries जिसको बोलते हैं, disused lands, we go collect all the garbage, put it there. That is the most practiced. And ramp method कहाँ पे होता है? Ramp method होता है hilly areas में. Ramp method is practiced in hilly areas. Okay, so this one you should know. Control tipping is the best one. Already discussed this, so we have already talked about this, so I'm going to move to the next slide. Yeah, compositing. Remember, it is an integrated method of solid waste disposal and night soil. Compositing में तुम mnemonic याद रखोगे CBI. C से compositing. This is an integrated method. Okay, this is an integrated method of disposing night soil and solid. Bangalore method इसमें एक आता है, Indore method इसमें एक आता है, based on the names of the cities. Bangalore, AN, this relies on which process, guys? Anaerobic process. And Indore relies on which process, guys? Aerobic process. पहले ये बहुत famous question होता था. So you should know about the names of the techniques for solid waste disposal. Okay. Quickly tell me, what is a septic tank, guys? All are features of septic tank. What is septic tank? What is septic tank? Septic tank क्या होता है? Now see, every area will not have an access to sewage pipelines. So septic tank is basically used for household treatment of sewage. Okay, household treatment of sewage. That means it is used for smaller communities. Smaller communities, no access to sewage pipelines. No access to sewage pipelines. They don't have any access to sewage pipelines. तो इसमें क्या होता है? Septic tank, in which the sewage can be retained for 48 hours. No. Ideal retention period is 24 hours, guys. And the capacity of sewage that can be admitted, 500 gallons. Outside takes place aerobic oxidation, inside takes place anaerobic. अंदर ये क्वेश्चन बहुत आता है, inside the tank, outside the tank क्या क्या process चल रहा है. So inside digestion, sludge obviously settles down. So the wrong statement over here was ideal retention period. Now see, I'll just show you the image. This is your septic tank, guys. So if all the sewage water enters from the house, inside the tank, it's hidden. So it's hidden, so remember it is anaerobic process, digestion. Okay, now you can see the sludge, the solid part settles down, the greasy materials come, it goes up, and outside you will have what process, everybody? Aerobic oxidation. So you must know this. Tank के अंदर क्या है, outside क्या process हो रहा है, and what is septic tank used for? Household treatment of sewage. Chalo, tell me your answer to this one. Most important factor in sewage treatment is, can you tell me? You know, this is a AIMS ka simple AIMS ka question. What is your answer to this? Most important factor in sewage treatment is bacterial count, solids, nitrite and phosphorus, water content. Socho. Okay, I'm not getting any correct. Okay, very good. I've got a correct answer. But what is sewage, guys? What is BOD, COD of sewage? It is not bacterial count. What is the composition of sewage? 99.9% water plus 0.1% solid. Most important factor over here is solids. Remember this is a very important question of the day. I had this hinge that a couple of you, most of you might end up writing bacterial count. नहीं, सबसे important factor sewage treatment में solids होता है guys. Is it clear? Sewage होता ही क्या है? 99% water, 99.9% water plus 0.1% solids. Let me show you another question. Where is that? Yeah, first do चलो पहले एक एक करके बताओ. Strength of sewage is expressed in terms of all except. Now how do you express the strength of sewage guys? How do you express the strength of sewage? Water content में नहीं है. The strength of sewage I'll show you. Biological oxygen demand, COD. ठीक है? Strength of sewage is expressed in terms of all except. What is your answer? Good, not E. coli. सीवेज में स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ सीवेज इन 3 टर्म्स में एक्सप्रेस होता है. ठीक है. नाउ लेट मी टेक यू टू स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ कॉम्पोजिशन ऑफ सीवेज 99.9% वाटर 0.1% सॉलिड. स्ट्रेंथ ऑफ सीवेज BOD COD सस्पेंडेड पार्टिकल्स. नाउ लेट मी टेक यू टू वन मोर क्वेश्चन. व्हाट इज दिस? What is the answer to this? Again very famous PYQ but old PYQ, but it can come up. It can get repeated again. कुछ इसमें बहुत विचित्र, I mean nothing very straight. It's based on definition. What will you answer over here? What is BOD? What is BOD? It indicates organic matter, bacterial count, anaerobic bacteria, chemicals. Good. Some of you are getting it. Organic matter. ठीक है. Now see, what was the old questions when they asked the definitions, then they asked the values. Now look at this definition of BOD. What is the definition of BOD? It is a crucial measure of water quality indicating the amount of oxygen consumed by microorganisms to decompose. क्या लिखा हुआ है? Organic matter in water sample. How much oxygen will be required to decompose organic matter? It essentially reflects the level of organic pollution in water. Now BOD is the most important test in sewage. Most important test done for sewage. Most important test done for sewage. Am I clear everybody? These last 3 questions. Most important test done on sewage is BOD. और BOD किसका क्या indicate कर रहा है everybody? Organic matter. Now come back to this question. What was the value of BOD guys? What was the value of BOD? If you have a normal strength sewage, if you have normal strength sewage, your BOD is going to range between 100 to 300 milligram per liter. Strong sewage, that means we need stronger techniques, would be more than 300 milligram. Now suspended particles, particles are more in numbers. So for particles, what is the normal strength in terms of suspended particles? 100 to 500 milligram per liter. What is strong sewage in terms of suspended particles everybody? More than 500 milligram per liter. Don't get confused कि BOD को 500 कर दिया. ऑक्सीजन कमी रखो, कमी होते जा रही है, सो 300, बट पार्टिकल्स एवरीवेयर, सो मोर देन 500. वेयर डू यू यूज COD? केमिकल ऑक्सीजन डिमांड में द केमिकल दैट वी यूज इज potassium dichromate. Okay, potassium dichromate. And when will you use COD? You know, when it is highly polluted sewage, more solids, हाईली, जैसे 0.1% सॉलिड तो होता ही है, बट हाईली पोल्यूटेड सॉलिड्स विद मोर सीवेज. ठीक है, विद मोर हाईली पोल्यूटेड सीवेज विद मोर सॉलिड्स, हाईली पोल्यूटेड सीवेज विद मोर सॉलिड्स, वी ऑलवेज गो फॉर कैलकुलेटिंग COD. Now did you understand everything about sewage? Composition, how will you measure? What is the most important test done on sewage? BOD. If we have highly polluted sewage, we will go for COD. And one more thing, the amount of sewage that flows through, the amount of sewage that flows through The amount of sewage that flows through sewage pipelines in 24 hours duration, sewage pipelines within in 24 hours duration, what do you call it? In 24 hours duration, the amount of sewage that flows through sewage pipelines in 24 hours duration, this one is known as dry weather flow. Good, you know it, dry weather flow. Okay? Quickly moving to the next one now. Heart of activated sludge process. What is activated sludge process? क्या है? Activated sludge process is used for secondary treatment of sewage, है ना? Secondary treatment of sewage. And heart of activated sludge process is aeration tank. Aeration tank में what is the process happening, guys? Aerobic process. For secondary treatment of sewage, you can either use a trickling filter or a activated sludge process. But which is the one that we prefer? Now look over here. If you see over here, this one is activated sludge process, which has a aeration tank. This is more preferred for secondary treatment. More preferred. Why? Because it occupies less space. Occupies less space. Activated sludge process, aerobic. Secondary treatment always relies on aerobic process. This one, guys, is a trickling filter. Trickling filter में क्या होता है? From sewage pipelines, water goes to the rocks. यहाँ पे rocks है, sand है, gravel है. Organisms are growing in this. So in trickling filter, also it relies on aerobic process. But it is not preferred. It's only preferred for smaller towns. Not preferred. Only smaller towns. Why? Because it occupies less, it occupies more space. So for for secondary treatment of sewage, you can have activated sludge, you can have trickling filter. Which is the one we prefer? Activated sludge process. The heart of that is aeration tank. Now see another question. These were just the methods. Sewage treatment में primary में you have three process. Screening, SGS, grid chamber, sedimentation. In plain sedimentation, you have primary sedimentation tank, guys. Primary sedimentation tank. टैंक के अंदर हमेशा एनारोबिक प्रोसेस होगा, ठीक है. इन सेकेंडरी ट्रीटमेंट दैट यू हैव trickling filter and activated sludge, we will have aerobic process. Don't get confused. ठीक है. Other methods, sea outfall, dumping in a sea, river outfall, land treatment is nothing but sewage farming, oxidation pond, oxidation lagoon, ditches, they rely on photosynthesis. Now oxidation ponds पे question आता है. देखो, the process in oxidation pond is, what is your answer? Tell me quickly, guys. You just have 5 minutes on the clock. Process in oxidation pond, always aerobic, always anaerobic. Aerobic during day, anaerobic during night, anaerobic during day, aerobic during night. So what is your answer? Aerobic during day, anaerobic during night. Now see, oxidation ponds are again for smaller communities, which don't have access to sewage pipelines. ठीक है. So this one is the image of oxidation pond. Can you see? These are oxidation ponds. You can also call them oxidation ditches. You can also call them lagoons. तो इसमें क्या होता है ना? We have created something like this. It has a lower layer. It has an upper layer. The sewage is dumped into. It's like flowing into this. यहाँ पे सूरज चमक रहा होता है. Photosynthesis चल रहा है. This is the in a layer where anaerobic process is going. This is the upper layer where aerobic process is going. During the daytime, everybody, it is aerobic more than anaerobic. Aerobic more than anaerobic. But during the night, it is which process more? Anaerobic more than aerobic. Remember this. Is it clear? In primary treatment of sewage, anaerobic. Secondary treatment of sewage, aerobic. In your oxidation ponds and all, it is daytime, aerobic is more than anaerobic. Is it clear? For smaller communities, every community will not have access to sewage pipelines. Okay. Chalo, quickly answer this. All are methods of sewage disposal except, what is your answer? River outfall, land treatment, oxidation pond. We just did it, so I am just going to quickly mark it for you now. Bangalore method or compositing. This is solid waste disposal. Okay. This is solid waste disposal or refuse disposal. Trickling filter is used in, we have done it. Trickling filter is used in, can you quickly answer this one? Secondary treatment of sewage, that too for smaller communities. As per WHO recommendations, floor space, a space of 90 to 100 square feet. Now remember guys, a couple of things if you have to talk about housing standards, ठीक है? Housing standards में याद रखना एक चीज़ होता है setback. Setback is open space around the house, okay? Open space around house. So open space around the house in rural areas, everybody, open space is more, ठीक है? It is 2/3. But in urban areas, the open space जगह ही नहीं होता is 1/3. Clear? Roof कितना होना चाहिए? Beyond 10 feet, at least more than equal to 10 feet. Clear? Windows, doors and windows together occupy how much? Doors and windows together should occupy 2/5 of floor area. 2/5 floor area. Windows should occupy how much? Windows 1/5 of floor area. विंडो का हाइट कितना होना चाहिए अबव द ग्राउंड? 3 feet. ठीक है, 3 feet above the ground. 1 person, what is the floor space? 1 person 70 to 90 square feet. ठीक है. Now 2 person, how much floor space? 100 to 110 square feet. You must remember this. Now you should know that children, if you have to count the total number of people in the house, children up to 1 year, इनको नहीं count करना है, not counted. Alright, to count the total members in the house. And 1 to 10 years को आप count करोगे as half, counted as half. यहाँ पे आपको दिया गया, you have been given, यहाँ लिख देती हूँ, counted as half. One adult would need 70 to 90. 2 adult would need 100 to 110. One child of 8 years, that means half. One child of 2 years, that means half. So यहाँ पे total 2 है. तो 2 को फिर से 100 to 110 लगेगा. But if you look over here, एक adult, one child of 6 years, half, 6 month, 0. So 1.5 person will fall between 90 to 100 square feet. Overcrowding, you remember we have overcrowding according to 3 criteria. One is person per room criteria. ठीक है, person per room criteria. We also have floor space per person criteria, and we have sex separation. Sex separation में 2 individuals more than equal to 9 years of age, not husband and wife, obliged to sleep in the same room is overcrowding. 9 years and above. You should remember this cutoff. Got it everybody? ओके, एक रूम में 2 लोग, 2 रूम में 3 लोग, उससे ज़्यादा ओवरक्राउडिंग, 3 रूम्स में 5 लोग. ओके, लास्ट क्वेश्चन, सैनिटरी वेल के बारे में. टेल मी क्विकली व्हाट इज द करेक्ट आंसर ओवर हियर. लोकेशन ऑफ सैनिटरी वेल शुड बी मोर देन 10 मीटर फ्रॉम द सोर्स ऑफ कंटामिनेशन. नो, मोर देन 15 मीटर्स. लाइनिंग 20 फीट डेप्थ. ठीक है, लाइनिंग होता है 20 फीट डेप्थ. ओके, all right, lining. Okay, what we'll do is let's go to this let's go to this one over here and discuss once about it. Once again, let's discuss it. Look over here, statement हमें false statement बोला था ना. Okay, so lining more than 20 feet depth is again correct. ठीक है, so lining more than 3 meter deep, no, see, 15 मीटर होना चाहिए फ्रॉम सोर्स ऑफ कंटामिनेशन, और लाइनिंग शुड बी मोर देन 6 मीटर डीप, नॉट जस्ट 3 मीटर्स. ठीक है, तो ये होता है सैनिटरी वेल. लाइनिंग शुड बी मोर देन 6 मीटर डीप. ये वाला लाइनिंग कितना लिखा हुआ है? 3 मीटर डीप. ठीक है. Another thing, parapet wall, that's okay. What is more important for you over here is that in a sanitary well, more than 15 meter from the sources of contamination, and from your houses, it should at least be at a distance of 100 meters. Clear? So that's it for today everybody. Please keep revising. As I have said, don't make silly mistakes. जैसे तुमने आज आपने आज सीवेज वाले questions में कुछ silly mistakes किए, don't do that guys. Think and revise, think and mark your answers. Please practice Please practice, practice 50 MCQ, 50 minutes daily. Very, very important. It will keep you on track, guys. अगर ये करोगे ना 50 MCQ 50 मिनट्स डेली विद अ टाइमर, एग्जाम मोड में करो, कस्टम मॉड्यूल wherever you practice from, it will help you a lot, guys. ठीक है, I'm betting on that you are doing this with a timer so that you are practicing and everything is going correct. 1 second, आ जाओ गीता. All right, everybody, so that's it for today. Thank you so much, guys. God bless you all. Please don't get distracted, don't get lost, focus, keep revising your LRR. Sure shots are meant for daily practice to keep you on track. 50 MCQs 50 minutes daily. Image का PDF देख लेना. For all the 19 subjects on prep ladder we have conducted images. कर लो उसको, LRRs देख लो, and do your PYQs NEET as well as FMG. ठीक है? Alright, thank you so much. Sure, I'll try to do that, dear. Bye bye. Have a good day. कोई बात नहीं भक्ति, बिकॉज GT देती रहो. इट इज़ टू हेल्प यू इन टाइम मैनेजमेंट. ठीक है, डोंट वरी. ओके, बाय बाय, टेक केयर गाइज. Upload LRR is already on Prep YouTube. Please check out LRR on Prep Ladder YouTube. You can write my name and just write over there Prep Ladder YouTube. You'll get it. Okay, thank you so much. Bye bye. Tomorrow is